Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December 3rd meetup of the WordPress Baltimore group. Today is Ask Me Anything WordPress. The slides and links that are shared during this meetup will be at the end of the video recording. The video recordings are typically available in about 2 weeks or so. The Baltimore WordPress Meetup group is informational. Please use the information, products, and services that we show at your own risk. Just because we are showing a website, plugin, theme, or anything else is not an official WordPress endorsement of it. Above all, keep it family friendly as most of us are attending from home. We will do our best to follow the WordPress community standards. That means that if you break these rules, you will be evicted from the meeting. No spamming or spammer-like behavior. We have people of all different skill levels and backgrounds, so no judgment for people who are at a different level than where you are at. Generally speaking, don't be a jerk. We have 3 sponsors to thank before we get to our main content. Our first sponsor is Anfira.com. They help companies serious about their WordPress development needs. You can contact them at anfira.com/help. Our second sponsor is Easy Alley Guide. Easy Alley Guide works to make the web more accessible and to make web accessibility easier to understand and implement through done-for-you tools, processes, and now courses. Our third sponsor is OB Digital Consulting. OB Digital Consulting does all of our YouTube preparations, and we thank them for that. If you need videos prepared for the internet, contact OB Digital Consulting. We will be using the Zoom chat to queue people up. Everyone is muted to start, and then we'll unmute you when it's your turn. No one knows everything, so we'll do our best, but we can't make any guarantees. We are now going to get on to the questions. A few people had pre-submitted questions, so if they are here, they get to go first, but if they aren't, then they don't. If one of these 5 people is here, just type here in the chat. Bonita, Lara, Gary, Kate, or Anne. Doesn't look like any of them are. So we will move on to open questions. If you'd like to speak your question, just put a question mark into the chat. You can use the hand raise feature in Zoom, or you can just type your question into the chat. So I have started doing my WordPress 6.9 upgrades. So far, it is going pretty smoothly. The only bump I've really hit is Elementor, of course, has to have cache cleared after the update. But that's been about it. Otherwise, things have been rolling pretty smoothly. Whenever you're doing major updates, always do plugins, then themes, finally WordPress core. All right, Tyler has said, can we go over the submitted questions if there's no open questions? The problem is the submitted questions aren't really complete. They're either, so for example, someone said, the old admin is getting emails from a contact form. We want those to stop. Okay, change the settings in your contact form. Without being present, I can't find out which plugin they're using, what the site is, where the settings might be, what sorts of things. Someone else submitted, I'm having trouble with my upcoming events. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what you're doing wrong with your upcoming events unless you come to the meetup and you actually can show your website, or we can look into the plugins and see what's actually going on. So the reason why we don't answer the pre-submitted questions without you being present is because I need a lot more information than just what was submitted to answer the question. Okay, Tyler's back. Tyler has been using custom HTML blocks to insert custom CSS on a page. Is there a better way? Sure, Tyler. Do you want to unmute yourself and we can talk about this?
There we
Hey,
go. Are
Tyler.
you able to hear me?
Yes.
All right.
So what theme are you using?
And I have to say, I'm not like a WordPress pro or anything, so I might not know all the right terms and everything, but I'll do my best. Okay, I'm using the City Hall theme by ilovewp.com. I'm just
All
using
right,
the
I'm
free
not
free
familiar with that
version.
one. So basically there's some CSS that you could be using within the kind of WordPress editor. So do you know if it's a block theme or if it's a classic theme?
Uh,
You're logged into your WordPress admin. On the left-hand side, there should be something called Appearance.
okay.
And then under that appearance is the word Customizer available.
Yep, that's there.
Okay, that means it's a classic theme.
Oh, okay.
So let me just log in to, I usually have a random test site lying around that I can grab. Oh, I do. Excellent. It's currently not connected. Okay, so here I am in one of my demo sites. So under Appearance Customize, what I can do is there is an additional CSS section, and
Okay.
you can add CSS here. This CSS will be added site-wide.
Okay. I've done that. So I do have like some custom CSS in there. Sometimes, like certain pages, I want to do something. So I just didn't know, like, is that kind of the way you're supposed to do it? Just do a custom HTML
So
block?
that's one of the most common places. What I
Okay.
normally do is I put my custom CSS into a child theme, which I don't have a child theme on this site, but on other sites I have a child theme, and I will put my custom CSS into the style.css of the child theme.
Okay.
Then I can keep it a bit more organized. Let me pop open one of those.
Does the style.css, does that apply site-wide as well?
It does, yes.
Okay.
The difference is that the style.css will load as a external file versus loading the customizer content loads literally in the HTML of every single page.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
the style.css is going to make it much more cacheable.
Okay.
So the browser would cache the first load of that style.css, and then each subsequent page, instead of having it included in the HTML load request, it would just be a cached resource.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I have another one of my sites up. Here we are. This site. So here I'm in the appearance editor, and this time I have a child theme. And so you can see that I like to put a table of contents onto my CSS files so that I can organize things. For example, I always start out with my constants that I'm going to define. That way I can reference those constants. And then I had one client one time who their entire site, their primary color was green. And then a year after they launched, they rebranded and their primary color became red.
Hmm.
Fortunately, I had declared their primary color as a variable here, and then I had referenced that for all of the custom CSS. So when they changed from green to red, it was a change here and then a little bit in the customizer for changing out a few colors. But the whole process was quite short and painless.
Gotcha. Okay.
The customizer also does not recognize a number of more modern CSS features, such as those available in Flexbox or Grid.
Oh, okay.
So it will display errors if you try and put those in, even though the CSS is completely valid. If you have it here in the style.css, or even better, if you're using like an FTP client to modify your style.css, then that content will it's not going to throw all of those errors at you.
Okay.
Does that help at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where I will put almost all of my CSS when I'm building sites is I'll put it basically all in the style.css so that I have one place to go hunt it down later.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, Jean asked, is anyone using PyCalendar? Yes, I have used PyCalendar. Do you have something specific about PyCalendar you want to know?
No, I didn't. I don't have anything specific. It's just because nobody was saying anything. That another person in one of the meetups, they put it in and said that it took them all day to get the
Okay.
stuff.
So
And I was just like,
here's
oh, I
the
thought
thing.
you just like said add it to an event. So
So PyCalendar, you need to read the instructions They have instructions. It takes probably 10 minutes to do it, but a lot of people are going to try and skip reading the instructions and figure, oh, I can just figure it out. No,
Okay.
because the way Pi Calendar works is it adds the calendar information, makes it available in custom post types. And because of that, it's not quite, it doesn't just like drop in an events custom post type like if you've used the events calendar before. That one just drops in a custom post type and you click on it and you go modify it. The way Pi Calendar works is it allows you to take basically any post type, so that includes even blog posts, or you can create whatever custom post types you like using whichever preferred custom post type tool you usually use. I typically use advanced custom fields because I've been using it
Mm-hmm.
for a decade now, and so I I know it really well and I
Yes.
just use it.
Yes, I hear you. I wouldn't want to switch from ACF right now. There's too many other things going on, but it has to be a post type, right? So if you just wanted to have
Exactly.
your
So
meeting
they have,
scheduled, you'd have to make a post type meetings and then put in the dates and
correct.
stuff. So okay.
Or you could use a blog post. So some people literally do just attach the Pi Calendar information onto their blog posts because they've already been putting all of their events there. They don't want to change that. They just want to add the functionality to the existing blog posts. So we just do that. So there's this getting started documentation, and I'll drop that link in the chat.
Okay.
And so what they have is this 4-minute quick start guide. It's a video tutorial. Please actually watch it. You can spend half the day fighting with it, or you can just watch the instructions for 4 minutes.
Okay.
So
That sounds like excellent advice.
yes,
Learn
most
before
of the
you get.
people who've had trouble with Pi Calendar, it does work differently than other calendars. So if you're used to the events calendar and you try and have and you expect Pi Calendar to function exactly the same, it doesn't. It's not the same thing. It's built specifically differently because the events calendar doesn't have a lot of solutions that many of us need. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
this was built specifically to solve problems that the events calendar wasn't solving well. So it's built a very different way. And because of that, if you don't read the instructions, you're going to sit there banging your head against a wall. But if you read the instructions, I mean, I have it set up on most sites in under 10 minutes, but I read the instructions.
Okay.
So they have this getting started guide that tells you how to get going. Just watch it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now tell my friend to watch it.
Most likely,
Yeah.
your friend did not go to the docs link on their website and didn't read the documentation to get started.
Yeah. I've noticed that the more experienced the person is with WordPress, the more they just jump in to do something without reading this stuff first. And and that's my experience. While I'll sit there and I'll read for hours because I don't understand it, and then I'll reread it. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Yes, there's some great information in their documentation. Start there and skip banging your head on the wall. All right, does anyone else have any other questions? Tyler is back. Is there an easy way to see and manage reusable block? There is. I just have to remember where it is. Where did it go? All right, we're just going to add a new page. So I am adding a new page. I kind of hate full screen mode, so I'm turning off full screen mode. I'm going to just create a group block, and into this group block, I'm going to put a heading, hello, Baltimore Meetup. And then we're just going to put Lorem Ipsum text in there. So now I've created a block and a group. And what I want to do is create a pattern. Hello, Baltimore. I don't really have it. And I do want to make it a synced pattern so that it will be reusable. Okay, so now that is created. Okay, here we are. So we're in the block editor. I'm editing a page and I've clicked on the three dots for the options in the upper right. And there is under the list tools, there's something called manage patterns. I wish it was easier to get to some of these things, but it's not. And here we now have our pattern library, and we can see the various different patterns that are available, and we can also add more patterns to them. So basically the patterns is the reusable blocks. Does that answer what you were asking, Tyler?
Yeah, I think so. I was hoping there was like something in the menu, where you could just, I mean, I guess I could just bookmark this page, but it'd be nice if they had like a patterns option in the menu.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Design. Once you kind of leave that, oh, okay, here it is. I didn't know to look for design. So appearance on the left and then design. That brings up this designer, and then you can go to patterns from there.
Oh, okay.
They have moved this around several times in the past. I'm hoping that maybe they're going to leave it in place finally.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even notice that before. Okay.
Now you know where it is.
Yeah. All right. I did have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how would you recommend doing basic analytics on a site?
So basically, you can do on-site analytics or you can do off-site analytics. Off-site analytics means that you're going to be loading third-party cookies, which means you need to make sure to have some things set up for handling all of the fun of cookies, as well as you have to have certain disclosures in your privacy policy, depending upon which third-party tool you're using, depending on their terms of service. They actually have Google Analytics, for example, has specific disclosures that you have to put into your privacy policy when you use that, and you agree to do that when you accept the terms of service for using Google Analytics. Then there's simple on-site analytics, which is becoming a bit more popular because that doesn't load any of these third-party cookies. One of the popular ones is independent analytics. This has a pretty easy to use, pretty basic setup going for it. And you don't have to worry about all of the third-party cookie stuff. So they have a pretty basic dashboard. Obviously, I just installed it, so there's nothing here yet, but it's a pretty basic dashboard. It gives you some information about your pages and posts and what's most popular. They have both a free and a pro version. The free version is going to be probably plenty for most small sites. And then their pro version includes clicks and campaigns and a bit more
Okay.
information. So I would grab the independent analytics.
Gotcha. Okay. So like Google Analytics is an example of like off-site analytics, and then this one would be a
Correct.
on-site.
So Google Analytics is off-site analytics. You do have to put into your privacy policy specific disclosures when you use Google Analytics. If you're getting traffic from Europe and Canada and California and all of that, then it is recommended that you have a cookie consent solution set up to go with all of that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So not a big deal if you're going to be loading in a number of third-party cookies to load in a number of different services, then you're going to have to set that stuff up anyway. So why not tack Google on top of it? I have found, especially with the GA4, that when it goes to pull stuff that's more than about a month old, so if you try and pull data from 6 months ago,
Hmm.
if you pull it, you're like, wow, that data looks small. Then you come back 2 days later and you pull that same data again, and it's significantly more populated. Google seems to be kind of offloading some of your old data and not making it accessible until after you've requested it and then waited a couple days and come back.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's definitely getting a lot more popular to just install one of these on-site solutions, especially for small sites. If you have a huge site with a ton of traffic, this is loading into your database. It's loading on your server, which means it's hitting those requests are hitting your server for management versus an offsite solution. If you have a very large site, all of that data is collected offsite, managed offsite. It's not adding to your website server's load.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Okay.
of course, if you do want things like heat maps and user tracking to kind of be able to view sessions, Microsoft Clarity is getting to be very popular, and it includes all of that fun stuff. But again,
Okay.
that's going to be the third-party solution. But for example, we have, especially for like some e-commerce sites, we'll use Microsoft Clarity because we can watch some of the user sessions and we can see, oh, wow, the user ended up there. That is really not what we wanted. Okay, I
Hmm.
see how they got there. We're going to fix that right now.
Okay.
So there's pros and cons to different approaches.
Okay.
But if you're just have like a small, simple website, the independent analytics probably going to be one of your best go-tos.
Gotcha. Okay.
But when you start getting into large sites, e-commerce sites, and all of that, then we start adding on and trying to go for more stuff to get more comprehensive coverage.
Okay.
I think Jean had raised her hand.
I did raise my hand when you were looking at Tyler's, I don't know, whatever we're looking at with Tyler's, but the reusable blocks. Are you on 6.9 on the one that you were demoing? Because you had the design on the left under appearance. And the last time I looked on my site, which was 6.8, whatever,
Yes,
design
I'm
wasn't
on
there.
6.9. I am
Okay,
on
because
6.9.
design wasn't there last week. It was, you went into a different way to get to the patterns. So that was my
Yes,
question. Okay.
yes. This is running 6.6.9, which is why I'm like, wait, I thought it was somewhere else, but we're just gonna go on a scavenger hunt and find it.
Yes, and that's what we were discussing before. They keep moving stuff, so you can never just jump in quickly to fix something. You've got to go on a scavenger hunt. That's right. Thanks.
Exactly.